I finally got a new office chair. And it swivels. I feel like the dowager. It's definitely giving girl boss though, you know? Like me just like leaning out in order to lean in. Also, I have this. What's up guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that I typically do this. You might know about my end of the year fails and best of the best. And last year I did a second best of the best, but I do it mid-year as well. And it is the end of June, which by my calculations means that we are due now for a retrospective, as it were, a post-mortem of everything that I have reviewed thus far this year in 2022. And this video specifically is going to be talking about the things that were duds, the fails, the things, and honestly, this is my favorite one to film because it's just a lot of fun to kind of go over the things that it just were funny in the sense that like they disappointed me, like expectation versus reality, but B, it's really, really nice to be able to share just a counterweight sometimes. It's nice sometimes to be like, don't spend your money on these things. Now that said, they're going to spark some controversy. It's very typical of me, right? I'm so controversial. But I mean, there are things that I have really, really tried to make work that aren't necessarily new, but they were new to my channel in the first 6 months of the year. And I've definitely gotten feedback on how to better use them, how to better make use of them, how to get them to work for me, things like that, and they still made it into the fail pile. So we will discuss all of those things in detail. If you have not already subscribed, just based on that intro and how much fun I seem like as a person, I am Khaki. I review beauty. I felt like maybe that was probably pretty evident, but if you like some chaotic good and some very, very informational reviews, then stay with us because that's what we do here. So without further ado, guys, let's pull out this bad bin and get to getting on the fails. Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about this first because it clears two products out of the box. So this is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Glow Serum and the Yummy Skin Serum Foundation. So first of all, I want to draw a distinction between this and the balm powder. The balm powder, it's not a fail, it's not a favorite, it is just a very, very interesting, cool product that I think has every right to exist for lots and lots of people. This was a dud, and I'm gonna tell you why. First and foremost, it is so strongly fragranced, and like I don't typically have a problem with a nice fragrance. I talked a couple videos ago about how I truly actually enjoy the Chanel fragrance. There are some fragrances that I enjoy. Don't love it in a lip product, like flowery ones in a lip product, but I love a good vanilla, you know, something that really adds to the experience, things I don't even think about because they're just kind of nice. But this is, to me, just not my taste. It's quite tutti fruity. Kind of jelly bean, pina colada. Yeah, it's got a very like tropical vibe to it, and it just happens to be a lot of that fragrance too. It's not subtle. It's like the first thing that you notice about it. So the serum is meant to be a mixer for the foundation, and I think we all expected this foundation to be a lot more of a serum kind of coverage level. Oops. Screwed the wrong end off. So this is pretty cool because this packaging is like you only have to replace this cartridge right here if it is something that you're interested in. But this is the product itself. You can see even though I got 3P, I still got far too light of a shade in this, and it did skew much, much lighter than most people expected it to. This one also has a pretty wild fragrance to it. I want to say it's different from the serum. The serum's like fruitier, and this one's a little bit like, I don't know, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more perfumey, I guess you would say. You're supposed to mix these two things together, but even when you do that, this is still an extremely pigmented complexion product. So even if I go 50-50, we're still getting like, you know, like a medium coverage. Kind of, that's not even 50-50. That was probably 60-40, the majority of it being the serum, and you're still getting something that's, you know, much higher coverage than you would expect. So I don't like the idea that you would have to buy both of these to get it to function the way you want it to anyway, but also the fact that it's just like neither of them really does the job that I needed them too, you know, especially because it's almost like a prohibitive amount of fragrance. And then also, if you're not familiar with Danessa's line previous to this, by the way, I should contextualize, I am obsessed with most things that Danessa Myricks does. She has an amazing imagination. She's got a total passion and flair for texture. She creates looks like I've never actually seen, you know, she's just an innovator. And so, you know, you're bound to have some misses with certain people when you're constantly innovating. She's a brave, cool creator, and I don't want to like dismiss that at all. But this is very, 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 very similar to her Vision Cream Cover, which was her original complexion product, which is very makeup artist oriented in its delivery system. It's a highly, highly concentrated complexion product that can be diluted with any kind of serum or oil or moisturizer or what have you in order to function however a makeup artist might need it to function in their kit. So this, I was expecting to be much different from that, and it really isn't. It's more like it's been diluted slightly and then repackaged for a more Sephora-oriented customer, looking more like a 1 ounce bottle of a foundation on a shelf versus a little tiny tube of like highly, highly concentrated, super efficient makeup. So yeah, I get where they were going with it, but I think that this one is a rare miss for Miss Danessa Myricks, who I hope to meet someday. She is just absolutely brilliant, and I think that she is also really, really sweet. She just seems like a really nice person. Okay, here's where I'm gonna make some enemies real quick, because we're real quick. There's nothing gonna be real quick about it, okay? I started using Tom Ford's makeup back at the end of 2021 because I was starting to delve more into some of the luxury brands to get my head around them and, you know, be able to offer reviews within context, you know, future releases, etc. from specific brands. And some of them have knocked my socks off, some of them have not. And I think that the one that has the largest gap from expectation to reality for me is Tom Ford. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Tom Ford's makeup has such a high price point. It's like one of the highest price points offered at Sephora. I think that that automatically sets your expectations for something that doesn't just need to blow your mind. It needs to be like the thing that you close your eyes thinking about every night and the first thing you wake up excited to put on in the morning, okay? Like, Pat McGrath, this is not. This is some, in this specific case, pretty underwhelming makeup. I have now 3 that I have bought with my own money, 3 $89 quads from Tom Ford. This happens to be the 01 Naked Pink. It is a limited edition. And I mean, it is just heckin' underwhelming. Like, I feel like for the excitement that's in this little quad, go get a Charlotte Tilbury quad. I feel like she's got so many more. These shadows perform a lot better, regardless of like setting your expectations for low pigment. I feel like that's a lot of the excuse that I hear with Tom Ford is like, oh, you just have to adjust your expectations for his style of makeup. Sure, fine. But like, even the fact that like these 3 shades work pretty well together, like why then do they throw this weird kind of like apricot-y blushy shade in there? It doesn't work. This color story doesn't work together. The formulas are underwhelming. There's so little payoff. And as far as like buying a luxury palette, you're going to get a better experience with Charlotte Tilbury. And you guys know, I am not particularly prudent. Like I'm not a scrimper when it comes to spending money on makeup. I just don't believe that's giving me the eye champagne that I'm paying for. So, moving right along to the 3 people who are left after I just crapped all over everybody's favorite eyeshadow. Okay, next, and I actually feel like with this one and with the Danessa Myricks, I'm speaking directly to Hindash right now because he and I both had difficulties just like expectation versus reality with these 2 formulas. So this one being honestly my least favorite thing that I've tried this entire year so far, and that is the Makeup Forever HD Skin, the reformulation. I really did my due diligence. I bought it online and then I went and got a shade match and bought, like, traded it out and bought another one. I ended up with IR02 or previously R210, and it is still, like, it looks like a nice neutral light beige in the bottle, and then it oxidizes like 1.5 shades while it's on the skin. It is incredibly, like, strangely peach. That's it right there. So it'll just get peacher and peacher and peacher and peacher the longer I wear it. The fragrance is not awesome at all. And I don't like the finish of it. I'm not sure I would have ever really liked the original one anyway. Still, I think that it is a formula that is a miss. And I think the main problem is the color. The color just oxidizes so badly. I really would think that we would have moved past these things by now. Like, what is it in a formula that makes a foundation oxidize? Let's stop doing that. You know, as like reformulators of makeup, like makeup forever, you would think that they have known what they were doing since they've been doing makeup forever. Apparently not, because they keep iterating on formulas that people already love, and they apparently really screwed this one up. And it suffers from issues that were issues like 15, 20 years ago for like drugstore beauty. You know, we need to like take lessons and move on. Stop making makeup that oxidizes. Okay, next, and I've really heard, I'm like the only person who has said this. I don't understand why. The Saie Beauty Air Set. This is supposed to be translucent, and it is so dark. I don't understand. Like, I understand if I bought the wrong color and it was too dark, you know what I mean? Or like they didn't have a shade for me, but this is claiming to be translucent, and so many of my white girl YouTubers make this work, and for me, I put it on and my whole face turns like yellowish brown. Again, it looks like me in middle school when I went to Eckerd's and bought my makeup, and it was the wrong color and it oxidized, and I just slathered it on and wore it anyway. That's what it looks like, and I just don't understand why this is so critically acclaimed. It is so bad. All right, I have a couple that I haven't talked about on camera because I have not known how to even shoehorn them into a video concept, because I've been kind of thinking about like a 5 products that are too good to be true kind of concept, but this ended up happening before I came up with 5, so I just didn't want to like talk about 2. The first one is this, you know, Clean Beauty, Miss Fame Beauty by 27 Rosiers, and it is this beautiful, absolutely beautiful highlighter kit that he came out with, or she, Miss Fame, she came out with a beautiful set of these 3 liquid cream highlighter things. They're supposed to be kind of universal for wherever you want to put them, and one is kind of gold, one's kind of pearl, and then one is kind of blushy pink. To say I had my heart set on this, and I did refer to this at one point, but like I really was excited about this. I mean, look at that. That is like Danessa Myricks multi-chrome heaven, right? And I think that they got a little excited about the potential of a pigment like this and just phoned in the formula, because it doesn't work, okay? Like, it just doesn't work. It gets crusty over the top, it won't feather at the edges, it doesn't work as a topper, it picks your makeup up, and it's matte. I want something like this to dry like a Milk Makeup highlighter or something. Like, I want it to have like a glossy finish, but nothing about this lends itself well to working with other products with it. Like, it just doesn't cooperate. It doesn't work with powders, it doesn't work with other creams, it doesn't like setting spray, it doesn't really like bare skin. It just doesn't work, and it's really, really frustrating. The set itself was like $88 or something. I was so ready to love this set, and I was ready to do like a full face of drag queen owned, like RuPaul's Drag Race drag queen owned beauty, and I still will do that in the future, but I haven't found enough things that I really like, and this was just such a disappointment to me, because Miss Fame, while also making me laugh a whole lot, is an incredible beauty makeup artist. Like, there are lots of different kinds of makeup artists, but the beauty that she does, that she paints, is just unbelievable. And I really was expecting something that was going to be like flawlessly executed, and this just, it's not, and I'm so sad about it. I don't know what to do with these. And if what you're looking for is a texture like that, go with the Danessa Myricks Twin Flames. They're incredible. Like, that's what it should have been like. And then the other thing that I have never gotten to mention, I ordered this basically like on a gimmicky whim from the Instagram ad that I got. This is the August and Monroe Blemish Camouflage. So this is supposed to be a no makeup concealer that has acne treatment in it, which is not a first of its kind thing, right? There have been plenty drugstore, high-end, prestige, what have you, brands that have put out skincare based concealers. I mean, it's a pretty intuitive thing if you think about it. It's like, I would love to cover a blemish and also heal that blemish. That would be great. But the thing that they purport here when they're marketing this is that it's a universal adaptive tint, which I'm always like, all right, I'll believe it when I see it. Because the way that they show you to do this, because it's in this weird little nubby thing, right? With a little in the middle of it. That's how it comes out. This thing is not cheap. I think it's like $40 or something. I can't remember. But like, they say that it's just gonna adapt to your skin, but the problem is, what it really does is the longer that you rub it, the more pigment it releases. And I'm here to tell you guys, there is no amount of rubbing that you can do that makes it a natural color for my skin. Like, I rubbed it like twice the first time, where you started to see it release like little orange bits, 3 more times, and then it was more orange bits, and then 3 more times, and we are the color of the orange on my sweater. And if you keep oh, it is totally dried down. Like, try to blend it, you cannot blend it. It is totally like waterproof feeling, dried down. And that is the extent of it. This is some Shark Tank, I'm out, back to the drawing board store type stuff, because it makes no sense. And if you were to trust them, take their word for it, and put this directly on your face the first time that you tried it, oh, you would be so mad. You would be so mad. Like, that's just like, that's a dirty, dirty trick. That's a dirty trick. Even if your skin's that color, the fact that it's not one consistent color, and it wasn't something where I was like, oh, this sucks, and I just like threw it out immediately, like, man, I tried to get it to work. It's not an adaptive color. It's like white, and it's like chalky, chalky white, and then it's orange. Like, there's no in between. Okay, sorry, my camera died. So that's why the lighting's different. Man, it is like storming outside. Next, you guys, first of all, my child stuck his finger in this, and that is why it's like that. But this is the Chanel okay, we're gonna do this. Le Quatre Ombre in 328 Blurry Mauve. I am a fan of Chanel makeup, I am. But you would think that Blurry Mauve and I would get along really, really well. And these all, in practice, are basically the same color on my skin. It's kind of wild how, like, they're already so muddy because they're blurry, I guess, and mauve, that like nothing can make them like look logical on me. They just kind of become this charcoal mess. And I definitely like other of the colorways from Chanel, and I'm like tempted. Like, I just bought the Complexion Touch after you guys told me that it was released. I'm like really excited to try it. But I had another quad in my cart, and I talked myself out of it because I was like, I don't see myself liking that or using that enough. Like, when they choose 4 shades, I don't feel like they're that usable. They're not balanced enough typically in the quads where I feel like excited to use them. And so I only have this one, and I learned my lesson. I just think that like anybody who gets excited about a quad, right? Simplifying your routine, that's like a hard thing, even like for anybody to get a wearable look out of in one go without pulling something else out. Because even if you have deep skin and like this does have a little bit of contrast on your skin, there's still not enough difference between the values of these shades. They are all medium. You're just gonna end up making something kind of muddy, you know? That's why I sent back that Dior palette, what is it called? The New Look one or whatever that everybody loves, because there's just not enough differentiation in the actual like values of the shades that I feel like it's going to give me what this is, you know, setting out to do, which a quad is supposed to be kind of an all-in-one, like all you need. Maybe you only get 1 or 2 different looks out of it, but it should be something that gives you everything that you need right in here. And like, there's no depth, there's no brightness, it's all just this medium blah, and it's not worth it. Yeah, I think this might be the first time that I've ever put a Thrive Cosmetics product in a fails video. Typically, I can find something to like, But I'm telling you guys, these are weird and I don't like them. So these are the Infinity Waterproof Eyeshadow Sticks. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Brilliant Eye Brighteners and I really wish that they would just chase that feeling and make like matte ones. That's what I would like to see. The Infinity Waterproof Eyeshadow Sticks are different. They're really difficult to work with, especially because they hoodwink you a little bit, right? Because you put this on the skin and it like blends out really nicely at first. You're like, ooh, that's so good, you know? Especially if you only do one coat of it, right? But then you pull out another color and you're like, oh, I'm gonna just layer these. And then you try and blend it and it just goes, and it just like grips on and you cannot get, I know it's a terrible example, but I did a whole video on them and you cannot get these things to make an eyeshadow look that you have enough control over. Like if you're gonna one and done it, sure, but I don't think that that's necessarily a good way to judge the quality of an eyeshadow. It's like I can take just about any eyeshadow and spread it all over my eye. There are better ones that look prettier when you do that, but I don't think that any formula should be like, yes, this is fantastic in one layer. Great, everything is. These don't layer, they don't feather, they don't blend, and they freeze down suddenly. Like it's just so weird. You're just like, oh, it's gonna blend, it's gonna work, it's gonna lock. I would rather have something that kind of moves indefinitely. Even the Brilliant Eye Brighteners kind of move indefinitely, but not in a greasy way, and they won't crease. These, I feel like, kind of are solving a problem that never existed to begin with, and that's the issue. Because the people in my comments have told me over the years that the Brilliant Eye Brighteners, even on the most crease-prone lids, they still don't crease on them. So I would love to have just seen them iterate on the Brilliant Eye Brighteners and do matte formulas and like expand that as an entire eyeshadow range. These are a fail. Another fail for me was the Milk Hydro Grip Eye Primer. I love the Hydro Grip Primer. I like the Hydro Mist pretty well. It doesn't do as much blurring as I like that I get from my MAC Fix Plus and my MAC Fix Plus Magic Radiance, but it's still pretty good. And this is weird. This is so weird. I cannot figure out what it's supposed to do because it kind of goes on a little silicone-y. It's clear and it has a little bit of like a blurring mattification to it, but it never locks. It's kind of unexpected in that sense. Like you do expect an eye primer to lock down because it's supposed to extend the wear time of your makeup. And I get a company trying to do something a little bit different because pretty much every one of them kind of does the same thing. The Urban Decay one, the Thrive one, the About Face one, they have little differences between them, but they're all chasing the same idea of this locked in, might make your makeup a little bit more challenging to put on, but it's going to make the colors truer, it's going to make them wear longer. It's a tried and true kind of primer formulation, right? And that's why they'll charge a pretty penny for it, is because people know that it works. And I get that Milk was trying to do something a little bit different here, but the issue is that it doesn't really make much of a difference with your eye makeup, like the wear time, because it stays wet in like a funky, greasy, silicone-y kind of way. For me, it never dried down. And I did get some comments that said that that was the issue for a lot of you guys too when you tried it. It's almost like it wet my brush so much that I was afraid that if I didn't like wipe it off really aggressively before I put it back into my eyeshadow, I was afraid it was going to hard pan my eyeshadows. So hard panning is when like you touch moisture and then you touch it back into the pan and it makes that really obnoxious like layer of solidified makeup, solidified powder on top of the pan. So it's like you can't get to any more product. And certain products are more prone to that than others, but you don't want to invite that. This really invites that, and that was what was so frustrating to me about it. I really, really wanted to like this in the context of really having enjoyed the Hydro Grip Primer. So yeah, unfortunately, this one was a miss for me. And the other thing from Milk that was a miss for me, so this is their new Rise mascara, and man, the component is cool. Like, it's weird. I just like know that if it did work, it'd be a fun thing to reach for every day and interact with this, because it's just such a fun, grippy, rubbery little like component. But it is just absolutely zero wear time. Zero wear time. It's not like the Kosas, at least it looks good for a minute. And I do have my Hannah moment when I put this on where I'm like splink, splink the house down boots. Like I have the matte, big fluffy eyelash moment, but like it lasts absolutely no time and like it makes you look like a fool. A fool! I don't think that your mascara running necessarily makes you look foolish, okay? This makes you look like someone has played a dirty, dirty trick on you because it's instantaneous. If you have anything somewhat, even a little bit like setting spray dewy on your skin around your eyes, you are going to experience the fastest meltdown of this mascara. I wore it for 4 hours. I checked myself in my phone mirror, my front-facing camera, within 30 minutes, and it was already like everywhere, and I was like, this is a mean, mean, dirty, dirty trick. What in the world? So yeah, don't spend your money on this. It was highly disappointing. Hi, I'm adding one more in because I dropped it when I was putting them all in the box, and I found it on the floor, and it's worth mentioning. So this is the Refy Lip Sculpt in Taupe. I mentioned alluding to this briefly, I guess in my last video, where I was talking about Refy's reputation and how I have had really like hit and miss experience with them. This lip product being one of the stranger ones. First of all, it's got Refy's interesting all-in-one kind of like, you know, spy cam kind of component going on where it's like, ooh, how many bells and whistles does it have? Swiss Army knife kind of thing. But the main thing here is that I found that it was probably going to appeal to me. I love wearing a nude for my skin, kind of contour type lip liner, lip color, and then having a gloss on top of it and kind of blending it. And to me, that's kind of Jess Hunt's vibe, but she does typically wear it like a little more noticeably, like lip liner, you know what I mean? She doesn't blend it quite as much, but I figured that I'd be able to do that regardless. So the first thing that I noticed when I did that is, I don't know what she thinks of when she hears the word taupe, but that is not what I think of when I hear the word taupe. And this is the lightest, coolest toned one. They're all so warm. And you guys know how I feel about people telling me that I'm going to contour with something and then it is a warm tone. It just doesn't work. So that was my first issue. My second issue was that it doesn't really blend. It's not very creamy. Like, it blends, it moves, but it's not an even experience. It doesn't feel like it wants to. Do you know what I mean? You can feel when you're kind of like telling a makeup to do something it didn't want to do. So it didn't want to do that. It's not the right color. And for that reason, I was already kind of like off this product. And then there's this other end of it, which is like it's supposed to freeze it down, you know, and it does, sure, you know, you can make something pretty much immovable with this stuff. So it's this weird kind of like silicone-y serum stuff that you're supposed to put down on top of that, and once it dries, it's supposed to make it like, you know, totally budge proof. And then there's a lip gloss that you can put on top. Cool. Whatever, except that like this is such a strange and uncomfortable sensation on my lips. Like, it really dries it out so much. It's solving a problem that never existed in my life. It is already a budge proof formula. It doesn't need this strange concoction to go on top of it. And the whole thing was just one big strange miss for me, where I was like, I'm either just not the customer for this, or this is a really, really big fail, or both. But like, I just want to present the reality of using this product because I feel like I was, to a large degree, hoodwinked. Like, it is just not at all what I thought I was getting, and I want to save you money in that case as well. So that's the Refy Lip Sculpt. All right. We just talked about this, but I've been wearing it quite a bit off camera, and it is an incredibly finicky little formula. This is the Ilia Skin Triple Serum SPF 40 Vitamin C plus niacinamide plus allantoin. The hopes that I had for this. I loved the idea of a company saying, you know what? This is SPF first, but we're going to put it out in 4 shades, I want to say, 3 or 4 shades that they put out, because they're like, it's not makeup necessarily like the, you know, the Tower 28 Sunny Days where it's kind of, which one is it? You know, they're like, no, it's an SPF, but we understand that there's no such thing as a disappearing mineral SPF on every skin tone kind of thing. So there's such thing as like a universal, no white cast kind of SPF. And so they put some pigment in there and they said, okay, you know, we have one that's close enough for everybody, except that the instructions on this are like patted in. They want you to pat this in so that it doesn't make everything pill up. It doesn't make itself pill up, you know? That's on top of like 5 other swatches, so stupid. It's basically translucent on my skin because that's what it's supposed to be, because I got the shade 1. You know, it's supposed to be able to be the right tint to look translucent on your skin, essentially. Except that, like, depending on what you have underneath it or not underneath it or what have you, it pills up and it's just incredibly temperamental, and I am not about to tap my sunscreen in. Just not gonna do it. So yeah, that's a pass. And finally, the amount of times that I have tried to get this to work. I bought 3 of these. That's how high my expectations were, because I love the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer range, especially the Tinted Moisturizer Light Revealer. It is so fantastic. I love that skin tint so much. These are not good, they're not good. And I watched Julia Adams try and get them to work too, and it inspired me to try and get them to work again. You know, like I really, really want to figure them out, but no, they don't work. They dry down too fast, they skip. Sorry, these are the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer blushes. They dry down too fast, they skip. Judging by how many beautiful, beautiful serum weight blushes there are on the market, even at the drugstore, I would have thought this would be a layup. Just make a very straightforward cream gel blush and you're in business. You know what I mean? Another iconic product in their tinted moisturizer line, but like apparently it's not that easy because these are not good at all. And if you are looking for something like this, go with the Daniel Sandler ones. They are so beautiful and so much easier to work with. The gel ones, they're all really good, but if you want something similar to this, get his gel watercolor blushes because they're really similar, but they actually work. This was an unfortunate pass as well. I really feel like my swivel chair, my new swivel chair, is like adding to my dynamic drama. It's expanding my range. It's adding to my mystique, you know? So look forward to that new level of chaos, but those are my fails for the year so far. That doesn't mean that like everything else blew my mind. And there definitely are things that like, you know, were not knock it out of the park incredible, but those are the ones that I'm just like, don't do it. These are poorly executed. These are not worth your money. You know, some of like the things that didn't work for me a lot of times, I'm like, I can see them working for somebody. Not these. Don't spend your money on those. So yeah, the next video is going to be my best of the best. So look forward to that. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have my notifications turned on because I try to upload at a certain time, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So you gotta really like keep your ear to the ground, right? And YouTube makes that simple. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much and I will see you in the next one. Bye.